Hello, this is Phoebe from Phoebe Sourdough. Today I'm sharing how to make an artisanal 100% whole rye sourdough bread I used to sell at farmers market. The ingredients are so simple: stone ground rye flour, strong rye starter, water and salt. This bread is easy to mix by hand. You will find the ingredient list in this video. I am pouring a glass of water into the mixing bowl and keeping some water in a different glass for dough adjustment later. I am adding 70 grams of a strong rye starter into a mixing bowl. Whisking it vigorously and making sure the rye starter is dissolved completely before adding other ingredients. Now mixing 6 grams of salt with the rye flour. Adding all the dry ingredients. Using a scraper to mix it. Rye flour is sticky, but it is still easy to handle if you add water a little by little. It looks kind of dry and tempted to add more water, right? No, please do not add more water. Now using another scraper to scrape the remaining flour off the scraper and wet my hand and start mixing it. Trust me, it will all combine after a couple of minutes. If you find your hand is sticking to the dough, please wet your hand again and continue mixing it. The technique I am using is the same as kneading a dough. I continue to mix or knead the dough, and now you can see everything is combined. The dough is still quite dry and it needs more water. Adding water a little by little so I can avoid overhydrate the dough. Now the consistency of the dough feels right to me. Let it autolyze for 30 minutes. If it needs more water, we can always add more water to the dough after autolyzed. Now after 30 minutes, the dough is more relaxed. It is still quite hard and heavy. I'm adding more water to the dough and knead it for a bit. Okay, now it is good. The consistency of the dough should be soft and can be squeezed easily. Now I am preparing the dough for bulk fermentation, wrapping the container with some good olive oil and transferring the dough to the container. I am pressing the dough to all corners to create an even surface, and now using a scraper to even out the surface so the dough would be able to rise evenly. This step is totally optional, but I find the dough will have even fermentation by doing this way. I left the dough ferment at room temperature for 4 hours and then retired it in the fridge before I go to bed. You will find 2 options to proof the dough in the video above. Now it is the next morning. I took the dough out from the fridge and start dusting my panettone. I'm going to shape the dough and place it in the panettone for second proofing. Make sure the panettone is dusted really well to prevent the dough sticking to it. I use stone ground rye flour for dusting it. Sprinkle some rye flour on the countertop. Dip the scraper into the flour to coat the scraper before using it to get the dough out from the container. This dough is really light after a good rise. Now sprinkle some rye flour on top of the dough and fold the dough gently. We need to tighten the surface of the dough. The way I shaped it is like shaping a clay in a pottery, which is quite fun to play with. Any remaining dough on the countertop, I am putting it to the bottom of the dough. Once it is done shaping, I cover the dough with a shower cap. Yes, you heard me right. I am using a shower cap solely for baking purposes. I'm leaving it as it is for second rise. Normally, the second rise will take 1.5 hours or 2 hours before I bake it. I will also check the rice every 30 minutes just to see when it is a good time to bake. Sometimes the rice can be faster than 1.5 hours if my environment is warmer. Meanwhile, I'm preheating my oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit or 233 degrees Celsius for at least 45 minutes. You will find the description in the video above. Now it is after 2 hours and the dough has doubled in size. Let's transfer it to the preheated clay pot and bake it. You will find the baking instruction in the video above. Here it is. Let's check the internal temperature of the bread. It is about 206 degrees Fahrenheit or 96.67 degrees Celsius, and also quite moist. Now I turn the oven off and putting the bread back to the oven for 5 minutes. As long as the internal temperature reaches 205 degrees Fahrenheit or 96.11 degrees Celsius, the bread is considered cooked. I hope this video will help you to perfect your rye sourdough bread baking. If you have not baked 100% whole rye sourdough bread before, this is a good place to start. Please hit the subscribe button if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, and I will continue to share my recipe with you all. Thank you for watching and see you soon.